Hello everyone, today we're taking a look at the Eachine AE65, an anniversary limited edition. The all-in-one board is the Crazy BX, this is the version 1. On that board is a 5 amp, 6 amp burst ESC, of course your flight controller, a VTX that is 25 milliwatts, and your receiver if you choose to get the version with the integrated receiver. The camera is the Caddx Ant Lite, which has a different lens again. The Caddx Ant Lite FPV Cycle Edition looks like this, dramatically different lenses. The motors are 0802 22,000 kV motors on GMFan 31mm tri-blade props. Battery connection is the GNB27. I added this rubber band. Motor post to motor post, I'm getting 65mm. It weighs 21 grams. For comparison purposes, the Mobula 6 with the Race Edition motors weighs under 20 grams. It comes with 4 250 milliamp 1S batteries with the GNB27 connector, and with one of those batteries it comes up to almost 28 grams. It also comes with a charger with PH2 and the GNB27 connectors. It can charge at 2 different rates, and it also does standard charging as well as high volt. It comes with a wall adapter so you can charge it at home, XT60 for field charging. You can also charge something via USB on it. It also comes with an extra set of props, a screwdriver, prop remover, and a few extra little screws in there. The control board so you can change camera settings, information / getting started guide, and it comes with a case. It all fits neatly in. The case has got a new soft touch feel to it, which is kind of nice in my opinion. It also has this little handle. This flight is not on the stock battery. The stock battery generally, in my experience, is a 10 to 15 second shorter flight time. Of course, there are huge variables to flight times. You know, a couple less turns, a little less throttle, a little less speed, and you could see additional flight time jumps. I hope that's something that I don't think I've done a very good job making it clear on this channel, but a lot of times people get wrapped up in the flight time of my flight time versus what you can expect. So you kind of have to analyze your own flight experience, your own flight style, and the flight time that I'm getting on the batteries that I'm getting them on. I've delayed this video because I really felt for the longest time, and I still do to a degree, feel like I'm not showing its capabilities. I have been forcing myself to adjust to a different radio. I've been flying the TX16S, and I'm just not as precise at this time with that radio than I am with my original FR Sky X Lite, which I'm trying to move away from. Hence, we have a crash in this video, and we'll probably, I think we have one more as well. We also have a little bit of furniture movement, which some of you eagle-eyed viewers or subscribers might notice. We've got a desk that we set up for our high schoolers so that he could more effectively study and make sure he's getting all his schoolwork done. Recently just got parent-teacher conferences for all the kids, and all doing very, very well. Very proud of them. Very hardworking, engaged kids at school, and that's a good thing. Also upstairs, we added a little tray or cart next to our 10-year-old's workspace that has her art supplies and various school supplies in there as well. That will help her make sure that she can stay at her seat and do the things she needs to do to be able to do all these studies from home in the special time that we are all now presented with. I alluded to it kind of in the quick roll, but I think the comparison for most people looking at these, it's going to come down to this versus the Mobula 6. And I'll give you some more details when we get back to the desk, and I'll include as much as I can verbally here during the flight footage. We will have an outside flight coming up as well. And oh, there was our second crash. Kind of skitter along the ground and then take back off to kind of wrap up this next minute of flight. But the Mobula 6 is lighter, and so if you're just outright racing, you know, you need the fullest performance that you can get, it's going to be the one to go to. And the fact that you can get 25,000 kV motors on the Mobula 6, that also presents a speed advantage. But on the other side of things, this will present you with longer flight times. And in my opinion, and I suspect a few of you as well, this camera is better. So there's kind of a comparison, but yet there's no comparison because they're, while very, very similar quads, they are different. So if your FPV view is top-notch, you're probably going to want something like this. If outright performance and speed is your priority, then you're probably going to want something like the Mobula 6, if not the Mobula 6. Also, the Mobula 6, because of its canopy, gets a jello outside. We've ended the flight coming in at 2 minutes and 46 seconds, which is one of my shorter flights on the 300 milliamp battery. Continuing on the comparison with the Mobula 6, so the Mobula 6 comes in those two different editions. You know, you have the 25,000 kV race edition, and then you have the 19,000 kV race edition. So if your priority is longer flight time, then the Mobula 6 standard edition with those 19,000 kVs motors, it's going to be lighter as well, so that's going to get you a longer flight time. So again, you know, you kind of have to pick FPV view. I think most of you would agree that the AE65 is better. For flight performance, you would go with the Race Edition Mobula 6. Flight time, you would probably go with the Mobula 6. Standard edition with the 19,000 kV. If there's something in between that you're looking for, or some of your priorities are kind of mixed, then maybe the AE65 or something just like it. I'll have a link down in the video description to the AE65. I'll see if I can't get a coupon to save $8, $10, 10%, whatever I can get them to give me. So look for that coupon code down below as well. This was a very calm day, one of the strangest calm days I've had in maybe 2+ months. I have flown a number of quads on the channel that have needed very calm days, and I've been barely able to find it. And this happened kind of out of just dumb luck. I was taking some time to fly at home. One of my kids had a Zoom meeting, so I had to shut that down. I stepped outside and was surprised to find it was very, very calm outside. So I quickly stepped out, started recording, and went for a couple of flies. And I think I did a better job of showing a couple of different flight styles in this flight. You know, tree surfing, racing around, maybe working some little bit of aerobatics where you hit the throttle hard and maybe dive down a little bit. Kind of some general overall fun. And even though it's not a pretty flight, because it's not flawless, but I don't get too concerned about that. I think this one has kind of a nice mix throughout it. And it does end in, I guess you would call it a crash. Basically, the voltage got so low that it wouldn't fly back to me, and I ended up down on the grass. So that's what we're going to be looking at here. I've crashed this a lot, and you'll probably notice with the frame design, maybe that's something else I should have included in the comparison. The frame design between the Mobula 6 and the AE65 is different as well. That could be contributing to a bit of the weight difference. We have multiple struts on the AE65. I'm looking at 6 of those kind of in pairs. And then on the Mobula 6, we just have 3. So durability could be a big factor. I do think the canopy on the AE65 is more durable, but that lens sticks out. And that's something that I'll show you back at the desk. When you have a crash, if you remember the ant light, oh, I've ended the crash. I got to finish the rest of the discussion back at the desk. So you saw that we got about 2 minutes and 50 seconds of flight as the battery voltage just got too low for me to pull out of that roll. So back to my talking point about this camera and this lens. When you have a crash, or if you recall, the ant light doesn't have screw mounts. Even though we see a screw here, the ant light camera does not have a screw mount built into it. So what they have done is they've got a molded plastic. You can see it right down in here. They've got a molded plastic holster that just goes around the bottom section of the camera. I don't see where any of it goes up above it. I could be wrong. Well, let's take the canopy off and take a look. I've got it all apart here, and you can see that it's got this kind of a unique molded plastic. I don't think that's a 3D print, but we've got kind of a holster that the camera snaps down into, and then we've got our screw holes in the side. But this can move back and forth. You see how now I've got it clear back against the front face, then I've got it clear back here. And that's what I found, was that in some crashes that the camera would move around and it would get in behind the canopy, or even with the canopy, to where you would have this view that I hopefully am showing you, to where you have kind of a cloud, or you can just actually see part of the canopy in your view. It wasn't a huge deal to me, but that's something you have to choose on your own, is the camera moving around on impact. It doesn't necessarily have to be a camera impact either. It can just be another generic garden variety crash. Depending upon the direction of the impact, it can shift the camera back or forward. Once it gets back behind the canopy, you do have to kind of push it forward, and I did that a lot because of all my crashing, trying to adopt to a much different radio size. And I found that I could get my pinky finger, so maybe your pinky finger won't work. I can get my pinky finger in there enough to shove it forward, and I did that a number of times. You could use something like the screwdriver or something else to do it. I like to use my fingers as much as possible because I want to feel it, because an edge of this camera, it can get a bit cockeyed behind the canopy, so you might actually have to even them out somewhere or push one side back in order to get a straight shot through it. And you can see, because of all my shoving it back and forth, get my camera to focus a little finer here, I've got some fraying right around those edges where the camera would pop back and forth. So it's something to keep in mind, and if you're looking at the Caddx Ant, you might want to design something like this, or take some design cues from this in order to design another lens. or another holster or mechanism for mounting inside any of the canopies that we might have in Whoops, if you're wanting to use the Ant Light camera. And as far as the differences in lens, I compared in the quick roll. This is the FPV Cycle Edition. You can see where it's got a pretty typical lens and it's a little bit of a longer lens. And obviously this one has a very kind of ridged view to it, and it's actually got a smaller opening to the lens as well. So that's pretty interesting. As far as the image goes, you know, you kind of have to go back and look. I've got a Caddx Ant Light review you can go back and look at, and you can compare to what I'm showing you. Of course, it's not a one-to-one comparison, but it'll give you a basic understanding of the differences between the lenses, if there is any discernible difference. I'm not terribly sensitive to FPV cameras. I am more sensitive to field of view, especially when it comes to flying inside. So I'm going to put this camera back up. We'll continue on with the details. And before I put it back together, it's important to note the dramatic differences in screw size. This goes to your canopy, down to your frame. This mounts the camera through the canopy, or into the canopy. More weird screws to have in your kit. One of the final points I think we have to talk about is the batteries. They have this new connector. I personally like this connector better than BT20, and I also like it better than PH20 as far as performance goes. The part that I don't like is that it's new, and we don't have a lot of availability to buy batteries. Now, I don't have them out, but I bought a batch of GNB with the GNB27 connectors on them, and those are the primary ones that I fly when it comes to this connector. And you can get those from Amazon. We may start to see more of our typical FPV shops starting to carry those. But as of right now, I haven't seen a lot of different shops carrying those. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. If you know of a host of different FPV or you know, RC shops that are carrying these batteries with the GNB27 connector, you can also buy the 27 connector off of Amazon, probably eBay and Alibaba and various other places, and then convert. But that's something you have to consider. We have a host of batteries for PH2 available. PH2 has its drawbacks. It wears down over time. If it's rolled pin, it wears down faster. If it's solid pin, it's a little bit more solid. The GNB27 connector, it will wear down as well eventually. I just think it'll take a lot longer. It's just a bigger connector, barely any more weight. So that it's something to consider. If you already have a bunch of PH20 connectors, you have to weigh, do I want to transition those to these, or do I want to wait until more are available because I don't want to buy from Amazon? Then you're probably leaning towards something that doesn't run this connector. But if you want the added performance, and there's something about this quad or the US65 quad that I also had on the channel that kind of compels you, then, you know, making a battery investment, whether it just be to connectors and doing the swap of your current stock batteries or buying new batteries, those are choices for you. Those are the tough places. And deep down inside, I know you'll want somebody to tell you what to do. Some of you will. That's kind of not my thing on this channel. Deep down inside, you probably know what you want, but you're trying to get validation. And my validation for anybody who's making a purchase is, if you want to purchase something, if there has that Christmas wish list that you want a particular quad or a piece of equipment in this hobby, then you should buy it. Because I find people are most happy with their purchase when they bought what they wanted rather than what they bought what someone told them they should buy. Now, some people are very happy when they buy something that someone else told them they should buy, or their recommendations, and I have made recommendations. When it comes to quad comparisons, I just try to compare them in whatever manner I can in the video and give you the information that you can make a choice on your own. I know I'll be asked as which one's best. That's probably one of the most popular comments on all videos that have any sort of similarities, is which one's best. Which one's best depends upon you. What do you want out of your flight? Do you want a better FPV camera? Do you want a more durable quad? Do you want a faster quad? Do you want one that's more freestyle based? Are you going to fly it inside? Are you going to fly it outside? Do you need range? What is it that you want? And you kind of have to decide. And hopefully in this video, I've given you enough information to where you can make that choice. As I said previously, I'll have a link to the AE65. It says limited edition, but I don't buy this limited edition, because I think if people are going to order it and they have orders for it, manufacturers are going to make it. So they may say, well, we're only going to make 500. But if they got 1,000 orders, what business wouldn't make 1,000 to sell 1,000? So that doesn't make any sense. I'll also have the Mobula 6 link down in the video description. If you want to watch that review on the Mobula 6, I'll put a card in the top right-hand corner and a link down in the video description as well. There are other quads on the market you can consider. I have got a playlist on indoor brushless whoops, and you can cruise through that playlist, and you can even look at the evolution of the home when I'm flying inside, or my evolution as a FPV pilot. Tell me what you think. Do I have a comparison fairly reasonable? What additional comparisons would you make? Probably other quads. There's a lot of quads in this space you could compare this to. I was just trying to use something that was relatively recent. If you have any other comments, questions, suggestions, or otherwise, please let me know in the comment section down below. I appreciate your time, and thanks for watching.